check this out. I'm going to open my hand to start the video, and then it's just going to start following me. And so just like that, this gimbal is now following me with the AI tracking feature. I can walk anywhere and it's just going to move around and track where I am. Now, that is unbelievably cool. But one thing that's even cooler than that is that if it loses me, it has a re-tracking feature. So, for example, if I suddenly went down, it lost me, and then appeared somewhere else, suddenly it's found me again. Now that's pretty cool. I had a gimbal once, not this gimbal, another gimbal, and a long time ago. This was when smartphone gimbals were first all the rage, and I bent it to open it in the wrong direction and it snapped. And since that day, I have been so afraid of gimbals and have never owned one since. Until today. This is the Insta360 Flow, and this is the smartest gimbal in the world. It has AI tracking which follows you around that you literally can't run away from. It has smart moving time lapses that will take a time lapse while a camera slowly pans, making it look like you're a professional filmmaker. And it also has a shot guru which basically takes the scene you're in. It'll recognize, oh, you're in a city, and give you examples of shots that would make a story that would fit that scene. My name is Kieran. This is the review. Let's get into it. Now, as a good Indian, I'm always going to start with the price. In the UK, this is currently for sale at £130, which prices it pretty much exactly the same as its competitor, which would be the DJI. In terms of looks, it looks pretty snazzy. On the front, you've got this kind of see-through case, and it makes it look quite unique. So you can see the battery inside there. You can also see kind of like a circuit board underneath, which is quite unique. Makes it actually look a bit different rather than just a white stick. It has a built-in tripod underneath here, so you can literally pull the legs out like this, 1, 2, and turn that into a tripod. So that's a pretty cool function, and you can't tell, but it also has a selfie stick inside of it as well, so you just can pull this and extend both a selfie stick and a tripod within this little device. When I first looked at this, I was thinking, where is that big stick hiding? On the front of the device, you've got a smart wheel. So this is a touchscreen wheel. You've got this round scrolly behind it, which actually, when the phone is attached, can zoom in and out, which is a pretty cool function. You've got your red record button. You've got a switch function. So if you hit that once, it'll change from the front to the back camera of the phone. If you hit that twice, it will change the orientation, so from portrait to landscape. And if you hit it 3 times, it will change the mode, so from photo to video to time lapse and so on, and a little joystick here that makes it feel like you're playing an arcade game. This game of Pac-Man seems to be taking a photo. Now, in terms of stabilisation, we have 3-axis stabilisation, 12 hours of battery life, say Insta, 1-step deploy and unemploy, if that's the opposite word for deploy, which is basically this: when you want to turn it off, you just crack it back into place, and that is now off. When you want to turn it on, you just open it up, and that is now on, and if your phone is attached, you're ready to start shooting then. We've got superior AI tracking, which I'll show you some examples of a bit later, as well as retracking. It can take 360 panorama photos, and you can charge your mobile device directly from the gimbal itself, so you can connect your phone to this, and while you're shooting, or just generally, you can use it as a bit of a power bank. The best thing about this gimbal, full stop, is the AI tracking. Now, the AI tracking on this is unlike any I've ever seen on a gimbal. It really is pretty cool. And the AI tracking works perfectly with the hand gestures as well. I'm gonna open my hand to start the AI tracking. And when it started, it's just gonna follow me. No matter what direction I move in, the camera's following me. I'm gonna test how well it follows and then how far I can go before it loses me. You could see from this example, as long as it could see me, it was tracking me. No matter how far I went, it would sometimes lose me behind bushes, but as soon as I reappeared, it would just follow me and track me again. So it was really impressive how it was able to recapture the person. So you can set this up with your phone on top, somewhere across the room. You can stand in front of it, do a hand movement to start the video as well as the AI tracking. So a great example would be if I decided I wanted to set this up on a ledge somewhere to take some videos of myself myself. I could set it up, I could go like this, it would start videoing and tracking me at the same time. The tracking on this was really good. It has a pretty good distance. It also can focus on one person and not get confused when other people are entering the shot. So I did try and confuse it, but it was still really fixated on me, no matter where I was moving. Now I'm gonna try and confuse it by bringing in a second person. Will you come and join me? I want you to walk behind me, and I'm gonna walk in this direction. Right, now we're gonna split directions. It's done a pretty good job, hasn't it? One of my other favorite things is that it's really easy to create quite unique time lapses. So I'm a big fan of time lapses whenever I'm traveling anywhere or seeing some nice scenery or landscapes or cityscapes. I like to put usually an action camera there to capture a time lapse. With this, you get more of a dynamic time lapse. So you can set a start and end point of the time lapse, and you can just let it slowly track across. Now here are some examples of some time lapses that I managed to take with this camera. I also like this AI shot giver as well, but basically if you're out and about, so for example I was walking around a city, it pops up and says, well, you're in a city, maybe do you want to try these shots to try and take a video? So here's an example of that, is I was at home and I went onto this shot guru, and it basically gave me the shots that to take a morning routine. So I got my wife, who's not a video maker at all, who's never made a video before, to take a video of me just using the instructions on the screen. So someone who's never made a video before made this morning routine. Finally, the stabilization when you're moving in a direction is really cool. It kind of eliminates the feeling of you walking completely, and it makes it feel ethereal, like you're floating. So for filmmaking and for vlogging, that is perfect. So you can take this really stable shots of you walking somewhere, and you can also take some really cool stable B-roll by keeping the camera in one place, just moving the joystick, panning the camera across, and then you can use that as really good B-roll to put on top of footage later. The other use of that stabilization and that tracking is when you're vlogging, so you can keep the camera up like this, you can have it facing you, and with the selfie facing camera, it will track your face while you're speaking. So you can be looking around, you can be talking, and it will keep tracking your face, and it's very good at that. There are some drawbacks of that, which I will come on to shortly, but that was a really cool feature. There are other features as well which I did test out, but none of which I tend to use that much, like the slow motion feature, which is just like taking a normal slow motion video. It has some fancier zoom modes, like the dolly zoom, where if you focus on a particular object and you slowly walk back from it, it creates a cinematic effect from that. And also it's got this pretty cool ultra wide cinematic mode as well, so it puts this really cool cinematic filter on it, and where I was pretty gloomy, and it made it look quite cool. So this is what that looked like. Now here are the things I wasn't that keen on with this camera. The first one is that the size of this grip is quite small, so for my hands it was a little bit uncomfortable to hold. The workaround for this is you can extend this tripod part, and it makes it a lot more comfortable to hold. But you know what they say, big hands, big YouTube videos. The tilt angle I found sometimes to be a bit limited, and I found this mainly when I was horizon tilting, and the example I would give is that if I had this above me with the selfie stick extended and I was trying to shoot my own face, I was only just managing to get my face in the frame, and I was quite limited by getting myself in the center of the frame because I was holding it so high up and it couldn't quite tilt enough. That's one of the drawbacks of having a folding gimbal. It is a drawback that the competitors also have, but something that I did notice when I was using it. My phone is a little bit older, I've got the 13 Pro at the moment, and one is that it absolutely rinsed my battery while I was doing it, but if I didn't have the option to plug it in, my battery would have been rinsed. And then of course, you're limited to the capability of your phone. Now, while it's very obvious which way you should be opening and closing this, I still, from that first day of owning a gimbal, have this fear of accidentally snapping it, which fair enough, it's pretty well made, but with any gimbal, it feels like it is a possibility. Now, is it worth buying? Now, I think if you're trying to step up your filmmaking in a pretty affordable way, or you have a specific use case like shooting a podcast or filming a cooking video or solo traveling, where actually being able to track yourself and take those solo shots would be really, really helpful, I think this is the perfect product for you. Most people now have pretty capable smartphones, but if you don't, then this isn't something you buy because you'd be limited by the capability of your own phone. I find it a really powerful tabletop tripod, and that was my perfect use case for it. And let's be real, it does look pretty cool. I'm trying to get behind it to turn it off, but... Stop! Stop following me!